So hi, this is Huw Davies. I'm co-founder and CEO at Ozone API, and I am delighted today to be joined by Guzide. So Guzide, perhaps you could start by just telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Guzide Koksal. I'm based in Dubai, and I'm part of the product and solutions leadership team of Visa. I look after network processing, real-time payments, and open banking for our region, which is huge. We call it Central Eastern Europe and Middle East and Africa. We have almost 88 countries.
It is an enormous region, so I think there'll be quite a few interesting perspectives here. But no, thank you for joining us. So, I mean, obviously, open banking is becoming increasingly global, and as it rolls out across more markets, we're seeing differences in terms of the frameworks and the way it's being rolled out, and we're also seeing the emergence of more and different standards, which is why we started to develop the global open data tracker to keep an eye on what's happening around the world. So thank you for joining us for this conversation. So I guess the first question I wanted to ask was, sort of as open banking and open finance continues to roll out around the world, what is it that you're most excited about in terms of developments?
So there are really, as you said, there are really interesting developments happening. Every region has its own pace. So for instance, as you know, Europe is way more developed in terms of regulations and standards. But the most important thing which I observe in the market or all around the world on open banking and open finance is how the organizations, fintechs, the banks and all the stakeholders are participating in the open banking space is using or utilizing artificial intelligence to enhance the customer data. As you know, open banking in simple terms is aggregating, collecting the data from different sources for the consumer and providing different solutions to the end user. And they're enhancing and encapsulating these data, the customer data, the end user data, with really innovative ideas based on artificial intelligence, which is amazing because it will be groundbreaking in the future. The consumers will be able to see 360 view of all their assets, all their data, and all the ecosystem.
No, I agree with you. I mean, combining that depth of data with intelligence and insight, I think, can really trigger a whole series of exciting new use cases to really kind of enhance and improve the way people manage their finances. As you mentioned, though, you're covering such a broad region or series of regions with countries of really very different stages, from highly developed economies to sort of more emerging markets with various different sort of challenges and objectives across them all. What do you see as some of the barriers in the region to the rollout and adoption of open finance?
So as you rightfully said, every country is in a different stage of their journey. The regulators are working on putting the right standards and the regulations to flourish the innovation in the market, but at the same time to make sure that the end users benefits and the security is in place. So the biggest challenge, I believe almost everyone is observing in the open banking and open finance space is the security and the privacy. These are the most important things specifically on the end user space, and that is what the regulators are working on. So all the stakeholders in this ecosystem needs to make sure that they have the right security measures in place and the data privacy regulations and standards in place to protect the end users' data as well as all the assets of the financial institutions. I believe that's the number one challenge almost every single country and regulator needs to overcome and focus on.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting perspective because, I mean, obviously, open banking is designed to put much more control in the hands of the customer around access to their data, and what we've seen is where it's being implemented on a standardized way. It's typically based around really strong security protocols. I mean, we work with a number of regulators around the world and kind of help them think through some of these questions, as well as helping the banks implement their APIs so that they are strong and secure and handle all of the requirements around consent management, which leads to an interesting question around standards. So we've seen around the world a fragmentation, more and more standards and versions of standards emerging as different markets implement open banking and open finance. So I guess one question I have is, where do you stand on the question of, is it a good thing that we're having different versions of standards emerging, all innovating in slightly different directions, or is it better to have one single global standard? And is that even practical? Yeah, I'd be interested in your perspectives.
So as Visa, we are constantly monitoring what's happening in every single market that we are in, and we totally understand the differences in the markets, because the regulations are different, security, data privacy rules are different, and the market needs are different. So, for instance, in one market where you have more developed solutions, the needs will be different compared to another market which is at the beginning of the journey. So the standardization, of course, will be easing up the implementation and the adoption of such services. But as Visa, we constantly monitor the developments, and we also understand the differences and the nuances, why all of these different regulations, different standards are being put forward. And I believe that should be there. Because, well, even though, as I said, technically standardization will ease up the implementation of such infrastructures, but at the same time, we need to understand the market dynamics and the regulations. So that's how I see the standardization in the market is happening.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think there are so many different market conditions and different drivers for implementing open banking and open finance. I think we will see probably more fragmentation as different markets are tackling different scopes and different areas of opportunity. The thing that really heartens me is I think we're seeing increasing interoperability at the security layer, with an increasing adoption of the FAPI standards as the foundation for a really secure data sharing ecosystem. But listen, thank you. I'm going to be fascinated to see how this does play out in your region and across the 80 however many markets that there are to cover. So I'd like to thank you for your time today, Guzide. I've really enjoyed the conversation, so thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.